Welcome back, my paradoxically punctual pen pals. I'm your superpositionally stamped speaker, and you're listening to the Multiverse Employee Handbook, the only podcast that treats your interdimensional work woes as first-class mail. Today, we're diving into the swirling vortex of the Multiversal Mail Room. Remember, in the multiverse, You've got mail is less of a notification and more of an existential threat. But before we start licking our quantum-entangled stamps, let's embark on a cautionary tale. Gather round, dear listeners, for the parable of the perpetual postman, also known as neither snow nor quantum foam. And no, we're not talking about the foam that nearly consumed the Enterprise in that classic Star Trek episode. This is far more perplexing and far less green. In a universe not so different from our own, well, actually as different as a quantum physicist is from a quantum psychic.
Ooh, I'm getting a vibe.
But let's not untangle that probability knot. There worked a dedicated multiversal postal worker named Max Planck Jr. No relation to the famous physicist, though he did inherit his father's constant disappointment. Max had been with the Multiversal Postal Service ever since the Great Cubicle Collapse of 22, caused by Dave from accounting's infamous interpretive dance to Bohemian Rhapsody.
Scaramouche, Scaramouche, will you do the fandango?
The resulting interdimensional chaos had created a surge in cross-reality mail volume, and Max had been working overtime ever since. Max was the kind of mailman who took the postal motto to heart. Neither snow nor rain, nor heat nor gloom of night stays these couriers from the swift completion of their appointed rounds. Little did he know the multiverse was about to add a few more obstacles to that list. Obstacles that would make navigating the quantum realm seem like a walk in Jurassic Park. You know, the parts without the dinosaurs. One fateful day, after his third interdimensional espresso, guaranteed to keep you awake through time itself, Max received a peculiar package. The address label was a mess of quantum equations and smeared ink, but he could just make out his own name, written in his own handwriting. It was as if someone had taken a page out of Marty McFly's playbook and decided to mail their past self a sports almanac. Now, I know what you're thinking. Who sends mail to themselves? And to that I say, have you never ordered anything online after one too many pan-galactic gargle blasters? But I digress. With the diligence of a postal worker and the curiosity of a cat in a certain Austrian physicist's thought experiment, Max decided to deliver the package to himself. As he approached his own front door, temporal alarm bells should have been ringing, but Max, ever the professional, was too focused on getting a signature to notice the fabric of space-time crumpling like a misdirected envelope. The moment Max handed the package to his past self, reality hiccuped.
Whoa!
Suddenly, he found himself back at the post office staring at the same peculiar package.
Aww.
In an endless loop of self-delivery. He had become the perpetual postman, forever stuck in a temporal paradox of his own making. Max felt like he was stuck in a temporal causality loop, making him wonder if he'd accidentally stumbled onto the USS Enterprise's holodeck. If only he could find the arch and shout, "Computer, end program!" As Max cycled through time, delivering to himself again and again, he learned some valuable lessons. 1. Always check the space-time coordinates on your shipping label. Deliver to me yesterday is a recipe for disaster, not unlike using a TARDIS as a moving van. 2. Time loops make for terrible customer service reviews. 1-star package stuck in eternal transit. Would not recommend. It's like being stuck in Groundhog Day, but with more paperwork. 3. Interdimensional coffee may keep you awake through time itself, but it does nothing for temporal jet lag. Even a Time Lord would need a nap after this shift. 4. Quantum foam is not just a trendy packing material. It's a hazard for interdimensional mail delivery. One wrong step, and you might find yourself sinking into the very fabric of space-time itself. It's less this side up and more this side in. The moral of the story, my dear interdimensional interns? In the vast cosmic mailroom of existence, sometimes the most important package to handle with care is the timeline itself. So the next time you're tempted to mail yourself a letter from the future, remember, temporal paradoxes may be forever, but the post office's hours are not. And unlike Bill and Ted, you can't always count on a phone booth to sort out your temporal troubles. Stay tuned. Up next, we'll be exploring the treacherous terrain of navigating the perils of quantum-entangled mail. Learn why return to sender becomes a temporal nightmare and discover the importance of quantum-entangled stamps. Until then, keep your parcels probabilistic and your envelopes entangled. Welcome back, my probabilistically perplexed postal patrons. I'm your superposition of sender and receiver, and we're diving deeper into the multiversal mailbag of the Multiversal Mail Room. First up, the do's and don'ts of interdimensional addressing. Do make sure to include all relevant spatial and temporal coordinates. Your alternate self in universe XB42 won't appreciate getting Aunt Mildred's fruitcake from 1963 again. It's like sending a red matter package to the wrong Spock. Trust me, you don't want to create another black hole in the break room. Don't forget to account for universal expansion. As Edwin Hubble showed us back in 1929, the universe is constantly expanding. That means the mailbox that was just down the street might be halfway across the galaxy by the time your letter arrives. Trying to track a package across the multiverse is like trying to find a specific grain of sand on Arrakis. The spice may flow, but your mail probably won't. Now, let's address the elephant in the room. Or should I say, the paradox in the post office. Why return to sender becomes a temporal nightmare. Picture this. You send a letter to yourself in the past, warning about that embarrassing incident at the company picnic.
Awesome.
Past you heeds the warning, avoiding the incident entirely. But if the incident never happened, why would future you send the warning? Congratulations, you've just created a postal paradox that would make Doc Brown's head spin faster than a DeLorean hitting 88 miles per hour. Speaking of spinning, let's talk about the importance of quantum-entangled stamps and their proper usage. Invented by Albert Einstein, Boris Podolsky, and Nathan Rosen in 1935, though they were thinking more about physics than philately. Quantum-entangled stamps ensure your mail arrives at its destination and doesn't arrive simultaneously. It's like Schrodinger's cat, but with more licking involved. Here's how it works. Each stamp is entangled with its twin in the central post office. When you lick the stamp, yes, in the multiverse, we still haven't figured out how to make stamps that don't taste awful.
Yuck.
You collapse its quantum state. This instantly informs the central post office of your letter's destination across all possible realities. It's like cosmic certified mail. Think of quantum entanglement like the ultimate long-distance relationship. No matter how far apart entangled particles are, they instantly know what the other is up to. It's like having a pair of socks, where no matter which universe you leave one in, the other always knows whether its partner is being worn, washed, or eaten by an interdimensional sock monster. Even the babblefish would be impressed by this level of instant communication. But beware, improper use of quantum-entangled stamps can lead to some interesting results. Just ask Erwin Schrödinger, who once used one to mail his famous cat. The poor feline arrived both alive and dead, and the resulting cleanup required a hazmat team and an existential philosopher.
I think, therefore I am...
It was messier than that time the Nostromo tried to deliver a face-hugger via priority mail. Now, let's delve into the mind-bending world of mail sorting in the multiverse. For this, we turn to the Wheeler-DeWitt equation, often called the wave function of the universe. In our case, it's less about describing the state of the entire universe and more about figuring out which universe your package is in. It's like trying to sort mail on the TARDIS. Every time you think you've got it figured out, you open another door and find a whole new dimension of undelivered packages. Imagine, if you will, a mail sorting facility that exists in all possible states simultaneously. Your package isn't just in transit. It's in a superposition of being delivered, lost, returned, and accidentally sent to a universe where squirrels evolved to be the dominant life form. It's only when an interdimensional postal worker observes the package that its wave function collapses and it settles into a definite state and location. It's enough to make even a Vorlon scratch their encounter suit in confusion. This, my dear listeners, is why tracking numbers in the multiverse are less about where your package is and more about the probability of it existing in any given reality at any given time. It's like trying to plot a course through the negative zone. You're never quite sure where you'll end up, but it's bound to be interesting. As we wrap up this segment on quantum-entangled mail, keep in mind the wise words of Richard Feynman, who, if he'd been a postmaster instead of a physicist, might have said, "If you think you understand multiversal mail, you don't understand multiversal mail." It's like trying to explain the plot of Primer to someone who's only seen Back to the Future. Technically, you're both talking about time travel, but the complexity is on a whole different level.
What did he say?
Stay tuned, folks! Up next, we'll be diving into the ongoing debate, mail merge or mail multiverse. Learn why spamming yourself across infinite realities might be the key to finally achieving Inbox Zero. Or Inbox Infinity. Until then, keep your stamps entangled and your paradoxes stamped. Welcome back, my dimensionally divided data handlers. I'm your informationally overloaded orator, and we're diving into the digital dilemma that's splitting the multiverse. Mail merge or mail multiverse. Buckle up, because we're about to explore why your inbox might be more infinite than you thought. Managing your multiversal inbox is more challenging than navigating the Matrix. At least Neo only had to worry about one reality.
What is the Matrix?
First up, let's talk efficiency. In a universe where time is money, and in some realities, money is literally time, the idea of sending one letter to infinite use seems like a no-brainer. Why waste time crafting individual messages when you could blast your quarterly report across the multiverse faster than you can say synergistic paradigm shift? It's like using the infinite improbability drive to deliver your memos. Sure, you might reach every possible version of your coworkers, but there's also a chance they'll all turn into penguin figurines. But hold your hyperdimensional horses. Before you start spamming yourself across realities, let's consider the ethical implications. Dr. Zora Quantum-Quill, leading expert in multiversal communications ethics, warns, just because you can reach infinite use doesn't mean you should. Think of the multiversal ecosystem. For every you that wants to know about the company bake sale, there's a you that's allergic to gluten and deeply offended by the mere mention of muffins. It's like broadcasting on all subspace frequencies. Sure, you'll reach the Federation, but you might also attract some unwanted Borg attention.
Resistance is futile.
Dr. Quantum-Quill raises a good point. In the multiverse, one size decidedly does not fit all. Your snappy subject line quick question about TPS reports might translate to imminent doom approaches in Universe Z26, where TPS stands for Total Planetary Subjugation. It's the kind of miscommunication that could make even a Vogan poet wince. But fear not, intrepid inter-office communicators. We've got an expert on hand to help us navigate these turbulent multiversal waters. Please welcome Dr. Post-Haste, leading authority in multiversal mail logistics and holder of the Guinness World Record for most emails sent to self in a single quantum second. Dr. Haste, how do you recommend managing multiversal mail without causing a paperwork singularity?
Well, it's quite simple, really. The key is quantum mail tagging. By applying Heisenberg's uncertainty principle to your email metadata, you can ensure that your message reaches only the users who are simultaneously interested in and not interested in your content. It's all about embracing the superposition of relevance. Think of it as a cosmic spam filter. But instead of blocking Nigerian princes, it's filtering out the versions of you who think Comic Sans is an acceptable font for inter-office memos.
Fascinating. Any tips for our listeners on implementing this system?
Absolutely. First, make sure your email client is entanglement enabled. Then, simply compose your message as usual, but end it with the phrase Schrodinger's PS. This automatically puts your email into a state of quantum uncertainty, allowing it to exist and not exist in each recipient's inbox until they choose to observe it. It's like the email equivalent of Bilbo's ring, invisible until someone really needs it, but without the whole corrupting your soul side effect.
Brilliant! Thank you, Dr. Haste, for those illuminating insights. Now, let's talk practical tips for managing your multiversal inbox without causing a paperwork singularity. 1. Use quantum filters. Set up filters that automatically sort emails based on which universe they're from. Trust me, you don't want to mix up Universe A's Casual Friday invitation with Universe X's formal Friday decree. It's like trying to sort out which Kirk is from which timeline. Confusing, potentially dangerous, and bound to result in at least one shirtless fight scene. 2. Employ tachyon-based time management. Schedule emails to be sent 5 minutes before you write them. This saves time and gives you a chance to prevent yourself from sending that angry reply to your boss. It's like having a temporal undo button, but with less potential for accidentally erasing your own existence.
Wait, what?
3. Utilize probability wave CC. Instead of carbon copying specific individuals, CC the quantum probability of someone needing to know the information. The right people will be included 60% of the time, every time. It's like the Tyrell Corporation's Voight-Kampff test, but for determining email relevance instead of replicants. 4. Embrace multiversal out-of-office replies. I'm currently out of the office in this universe, but my alternate self in Universe Y15 would be happy to assist you. Please note that in that universe, happy to assist means we'll growl menacingly at. It's like setting your universal translator to sarcasm. Effective, but use with caution. But wait, there's more! Let's talk about quantum decoherence and its effects on maintaining consistent interdimensional communication. In quantum mechanics, decoherence is the loss of quantum coherence, or the transition from quantum to classical behavior due to interaction with the environment. In multiversal communication terms, this means that the more your message interacts with different realities, the more it loses its quantum properties and settles into a classical and potentially boring state. It's like the multiversal version of a game of telephone, where your original message, "Let's schedule a meeting," might end up as "Let's schedule a meatball" by the time it reaches universe Q73. Imagine sending out a company-wide memo about Casual Friday. As it travels through the multiverse, quantum decoherence sets in. By the time it reaches universe X42, Casual Friday has become Causal Friday, and everyone shows up dressed as their own grandparents to avoid temporal paradoxes. In universe Y17, it's interpreted as Casual Frida, and the office is filled with Kylo impersonators. This, my dear listeners, is why we always recommend quantum-resistant encryption for your interdimensional memos. It's like trying to maintain a stable wormhole. Tricky, but essential if you want to avoid accidentally rewriting the space-time continuum every time you send a party invite. To combat this, always encrypt your messages with quantum-resistant algorithms. This ensures that your communication remains in a superposition of all possible meanings until it reaches its intended recipient, no matter how many realities it has to traverse. Think of it as a universal translator for the multiverse. But instead of converting Klingon to English, it's preserving your original intent across infinite realities. Remember, in the multiverse, You've Got Mail is less of a notification and more of an existential crisis. Your inbox isn't just full, it's potentially infinite. But with these tips and a healthy dose of quantum uncertainty, you'll be managing your multiversal correspondence like a pro in no time, and all times, simultaneously. It's like being the Time Lord of email management, confusing to outside observers, but you'll always know exactly when and where that important message is. Stay tuned, folks! Up next, we'll be tackling the challenges of managing up when your boss exists in all times simultaneously. Learn why "I'll have it on your desk first thing yesterday morning" is both a promise and a threat. Plus, we'll finally explain what Schrodinger's cat has to do with your quarterly performance review. Spoiler alert, it's both good news and bad news until you open the envelope. Welcome back, my temporally tangled subordinates. I'm your paradoxically punctual presenter, and we've reached the final frontier of our multiversal mail madness. It's time to tackle the thorny issue of managing up when your boss exists in all times simultaneously. Remember, in the multiverse, it's not about being in two places at once. It's about being in all places at all times, and still somehow missing that crucial meeting. First up, let's discuss how to impress a supervisor who's omnipresent and omni-temporal. Pro tip: "I'll have it on your desk first thing yesterday morning" is both a promise and a threat. When your boss exists across all timelines, you need to step up your game. Try presenting your quarterly report before you've even started the job.
Oh, really?
That's the kind of initiative that gets you promoted to CEO of Universe Y15, where, remember, CEO stands for Chaos Embracing Overlord. It's like impressing Q from Star Trek. Impossible by design. But you've got to try anyway. Now, let's address the challenges of scheduling performance reviews across conflicting timelines. when your boss simultaneously exists in a reality where you're employee of the millennium and another where you're the inventor of reply all emails. Finding a balanced evaluation can be tricky. It's like trying to get a performance review from both Dumbledore and Voldemort at the same time. Conflicting feedback is an understatement. My advice: embrace quantum superposition. Schrodinger's employee, if you will. Until your boss opens the performance review envelope, you're simultaneously getting a raise and being fired. It's all about maintaining that blissful state of uncertainty.
Yes!
Think of it as the corporate version of the quantum leap. You never know where you'll end up, but you're always hoping it'll be better than where you started. Let me tell you about poor Quark from Quantum Accounting. During his last performance review, his boss existed in a superposition of all possible moods. The moment Quark walked in, the wave function collapsed, and he found himself facing a boss who was simultaneously ecstatic about his performance and furious about his existence. The resulting quantum mood swing was so severe it created a localized time loop. Quark's been repeating the same performance review for what feels like eternity. On the bright side, he's gotten really good at explaining his SWOT analysis. It's like Groundhog Day meets Office Space, but with more spreadsheets and existential dread. But wait, there's more. Let's talk quantum time management techniques for meeting deadlines that both exist and don't exist. The key is to leverage temporal uncertainty to your advantage. Try setting your clock to quantum time, where 5 p.m. is a suggestion rather than a fixed point. It's like having a flux capacitor for your work schedule. Where you're going, you don't need roads or consistent hours. Here are some practical tips. 1. Quantum task list. Write down your to-dos in disappearing ink. If you can't see the task, neither can your omni-temporal boss. It's like Tom Riddle's diary, but for procrastination instead of evil. 2. Schrodinger's deadline. Until observed, every project is simultaneously ahead of schedule and woefully behind.
Oh, yes!
Maintain this superposition as long as possible. It's the corporate equivalent of the Heisenberg uncertainty principle. The more precisely you know your deadline, the less sure you can be about your progress. 3. Multiversal multitasking. Why finish one project in one universe when you can do bits of it across infinite realities? It's all about maximizing inefficiency. I mean, efficiency. Think of it as the slider's approach to project management, jumping between realities to get things done. 4. Temporal tagging. Label your work with for review yesterday/today/tomorrow. Your boss can choose which timeline they prefer. It's like filling out Captain Kirk's log. The star date is whatever you say it is. Now, let's apply the no-cloning theorem to your daily communications with your boss. This theorem states that it's impossible to create an identical copy of an arbitrary unknown quantum state. In practical terms, this means each interaction with your boss is unique and can't be perfectly replicated. It's like trying to step in the same river twice if that river was made of timey-wimey stuff. So, the next time you're nervously rehearsing that big presentation, remember, it's literally impossible to give the exact same presentation twice. Embrace the uniqueness of each quantum moment with your supervisor. Who knows? In one reality, your stuttering might be interpreted as speaking in tongues, leading to your immediate promotion to head of interdimensional linguistics. It's like auditioning for the role of the babblefish, confusing, but potentially very rewarding. Lastly, a word of caution about temporal paradoxes in your daily communications. Always be mindful of the information you're sharing across timelines. Telling your boss about a future project success might inadvertently cause its failure in the present. It's the corporate equivalent of stepping on a butterfly in the past. and returning to a present where your open-plan office has been replaced by a velociraptor petting zoo. Remember, messing with time is less Back to the Future and more Primer. Confusing, potentially dangerous, and likely to give you a headache. As we wrap up this episode on Multiversal Mail Room madness, keep in mind, in the grand cosmic office of existence, we're all just trying to avoid becoming our own interns. Whether you're managing up, down, or sideways across dimensions, remember that somewhere in the multiverse, you're always Employee of the Month.
Yes!
And also, the one who forgot to restock the coffee.
Oh, no!
It's like being Rick Sanchez, simultaneously the smartest and the most irresponsible person in every conceivable reality. This is your hyperdimensional harmonizer signing off. Remember, in the multiverse, there's no such thing as a dead-end job, just alternate career realities waiting to be explored. Keep mailing, my quantum couriers. Now, before we close our interdimensional mailbag for good, let's recap some key points to remember. 1. Always double-check your space-time coordinates before sending any mail. You don't want your holiday cards arriving before the Big Bang. That's a faux pas even the Gallifreyan High Council would frown upon. 2. Quantum-entangled stamps are your friends, but use them wisely. One misclick could send your package to a universe where pizza is considered formal wear.
Oh la la!
Though, come to think of it, that might just be the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles reality. 3. When managing up, remember that Schrodinger's employee is the safest state of being. You're simultaneously the best and worst worker until your boss collapses your career wave function. It's like being both Kirk and Spock until someone observes your performance. 4. In case of a temporal paradox, break glass and reach for your emergency time loop escape kit. It's right next to the fire extinguisher in 1995. Don't forget your towel. It's the most massively useful thing an interdimensional employee can have. 5. And finally, never, ever try to mail yourself. The multiverse has enough paradoxes without you becoming your own grandmother. Leave that kind of temporal shenanigans to Fry from Futurama. Always double-check your space-time coordinates before sending any mail. Until next time, this is your temporally tangled transmitter, reminding you that in the cosmic postal service of life, we're all just trying to deliver our best selves. Even if that self is currently stuck in a temporal loop in the mailroom of Universe Z26. Keep your stamps quantum and your envelopes entangled, my multiversal mail carriers. And remember, just like those quantumly entangled socks we talked about earlier, no matter how far apart you and your alternate selves may be, you're always connected across the vast expanses of the multiverse. It's like the Force, but with more paperwork and less lightsaber duels. Stay tuned for our next episode where we'll be diving into interdimensional team building. Learn why trust falls are a lot more complicated when gravity is optional, and discover the challenges of organizing potlucks across incompatible atmospheres. Until then, keep your timelines tidy and your quantum superpositions super. May the odds be ever in your favor, and also not in your favor until someone collapses the wave function of probability.
Hello, this is Clinton from Arlington, Colorado. The Multiverse Employee Handbook was created by Rob Corrigan, is edited by Matt Parkman, and narrated by David from 11 Labs. All science fact-checking is done by Mohinder Suresh. The Employee Handbook staff includes Claire Bennett, Hiro Nakamura, and Elle Bishop. Please be sure to subscribe to get updates on new episodes.